A ticking bomb between Poland and Lithuania is a piece of Germany that has been held by Russia since the Cold War days. But why does Russia grip this exclave? Subscribe and stay tuned for more intriguing tales of Kaliningrad. But first, let's take a look at what its history holds. If you take a closer look at the world map, you'll notice an outlying territory near the Baltic Sea. This is Kaliningrad, a part of the world's largest country, Russia. But you might wonder how this outlying territory became part of Russia since it is nowhere attached to the motherland. Well, if you dig deep in history, you'll find out why. Despite being 250 miles away from the motherland, Kaliningrad is still considered as a part of the motherland Russia. The region of Kaliningrad was originally known as Königsberg back in the days, but some consider this acquisition of this region to be an advantage to Russia, while others perceive this as a military nuisance. Surprisingly, despite sharing root connections, this piece of land is not favored by neither Poland, Germany, or Lithuania. With a GDP of $7 billion and a population under 1 million inhabitants, Kaliningrad is not a major contributor towards the growth of the country. So then why? Well, it is most certainly related to the military advantage that Russia, or rather the President Vladimir Putin, is aiming at. His main aim is to provide the natives both within and outside the borders as top priority, and this is where Kaliningrad plays a vital role. Nevertheless, this piece of land is a ticking bomb between NATO, Russia, and the European Union. Hence, sharing neighborhood with either NATO or the European Union is the last thing that Russia will resort to, as you might all be aware of Russia's recent response to the act of westernization, and this sole reason put the region at the center of an arms contest which involves naval power, anti-aircraft technology, and a ruthless missile launching system that would make even the toughest strategists run for their lives. To get a better look at the purpose of Kaliningrad, we might need to dig a bit deeper into its roots. The region of Kaliningrad was not always called so. It was originally known as East Prussia with its own capital city named Königsberg. The piece of province was founded by the Teutonic Knights in the mid-13th century and was part of the powerful German Empire. This land hosted royalties and aristocrats, but that was until the invasion in 1945 by the Red Army, leading to its capture and destruction along with its citizens who were mainly German. And the land of East Prussia was hence divided into three: Poland in the south, Soviet Union in the middle, and Lithuania Soviet Union in the northern end. Upon their invasion, Stalin and his army were quick to notice the economic benefit that this small piece of land provided. When they realized that the water in this region does not freeze during the winter, they took it to their advantage to capture the land and rename it to what it is known today, Kaliningrad, known as a tribute to the former Soviet Union head, Michael Kalinin. The Soviet Union deported the rest of German natives from the now occupied land to Germany and massively repopulated the area with authentic Russians and Ukrainians. Germany was not likely to let go of its land so easily, and nor did the Red Army play a fair game. Although the region of Königsberg or Kaliningrad was annexed by the Red Army back in 1785, it was short-lived and handed back to the Germans. This province served as a major German inhabitant until the ending days of World War II. But despite the attempts, the acquisition of Kaliningrad happened through the Potsdam Conference, where Stalin literally wiped off any traces of German with a heavy military backing. As the ruthless war began, the Warsaw Pact only increased tension between the nations. Despite this, Königsberg only stood as a steady military presence, but that only remained until the collapsing of the Great Soviet Union in 1991. This marked a point where the state of Kaliningrad province could have changed, but Lithuania was not pretty interested in it. And by that time, the heavy military influence had already shaped Kaliningrad to what it is known as today. A land that is even smaller than Connecticut could take down any opposition with a strong and steady naval, land, and air forces. You might not want to mess with this one. By the 2010s, the military presence in the region had a reawakening, but the neighboring nations were not scared of this. But that was up until 2014, when the annexations of Crimea came about. The modern-day actions of the Federation and President Putin laid the province of Kaliningrad into an incubator of political tension. And this put forward the question, can Russia invade Crimea? And if so, can they invade the Baltic states, which are under the NATO and EU as well? To know if Russia was successful in its invasion, keep watching and hit the subscribe button for more fascinating tales on Mystery Lands. And now it's time to talk about the military power that Kaliningrad is highly regarded to. The land of Kaliningrad holds over 20,000 soldiers, over 58 naval stations just covering the sea. These mighty soldiers operate anything from submarines to missiles to torpedo boats. The land area of Kaliningrad is covered by 3 well-reputed Russian brigades, fully armed, and plenty of motor rifles. And if you think that this can be escaped, the land has also over 200,000 troops, 800 tanks, and 1,200 armed vehicles. Not even an ant can escape this tight security. Now take a look up at the sky and you can notice the S-400 anti-aircraft defense system, with the incredible accuracy, range, and ability to detect any enemy aircraft within a 150-mile radius. No one can escape. Apart from the military security, the population of this region also contributes to Russia's military funding. In 2015, soon after the annexation of Crimea from Ukraine, Russia began deploying their Iskander-M ballistic missile system with a neoblast that could demolish the major European capital within minutes. And it doesn't end there. The major hold Russia had on NATO and the EU is the 65-kilometer wide gap between Kaliningrad and Belarus. This 65-kilometer gap is the only connection that NATO and the EU share through land, and if there's ever a heated conflict between Russia and NATO, they can bid themselves farewell to the only alliance they have with Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, making them even more vulnerable. Kaliningrad and its close ally Belarus could swiftly lock down the gap and form a defensive mechanism to fully isolate the nations on both sides, and hence make them a weaker prey to invade or destroy upon. Now, all this tight security will definitely put the Baltic states in a state of frenzy. So what steps will NATO and the EU take to escape this ticking bomb? They are definitely not the states that will remain silent. Word is that NATO has financed the development and expansion of military presence in the nations of Poland and Lithuania. And as Putin said, disapproval from NATO and the US has hindered the process of Russia from protecting its citizens. A war between Russia and NATO could be coming, highly increasing the chance of Baltic Sea through the Russian Navy strides becoming a NATO lake is not far away, as both Sweden and Finland are likely to join hands with the NATO alliance, thereby NATO dominating the entire Baltic Sea. Now, since Kaliningrad is inhabited by the Russian military, you would most likely expect an anti-European troop. However, that is not the case with the citizens of Kaliningrad. The Kaliningrads themselves, or the natives, can be regarded as some of the most broad-minded Russians you'll ever find. Their shared proximity with the westernized nations of Poland and Lithuania exposes them to European ideologies and cultures, providing them a wider perspective. This allows them to see eye to eye with the true Europe and attain democratic ideals. In fact, most of the citizens in Kaliningrad have secured a passport for international visits. After the invasion of Crimea, Putin was steadfast on delivering Europe as a devilized image and ultimately banned the supply of food items from Europe and America, but this only grew the relationship of Kaliningrads with their close-knit neighbors. Citizens often crossed the border over the weekend to do a little shopping. This also opened their eyes to the modern development that has taken place in regions after the fall of the Soviet Union. While the friendliness of the Belarus and the Kaliningrad allows Russia with the flexibility to make a pincer attack across the narrow gap, which is carefully planned, would completely isolate Poland from its three allied states. Only time will tell the tale of Kaliningrad, or Königsberg as one calls it, the region filled with a tragic and captivating history. What are your thoughts on what will unleash upon the fate of the land of Kaliningrad? Will the Russians win or lose to NATO and the EU alliance? Comment down your thoughts below. Do you know the Panama Canal, a crucial maritime passageway, is dying? Find out the secret reason why the Panama Canal is dying here in this video.